This is LTV.
LTV's Cityscope is brought to you through the generous support of the DeCarolis Insurance Agency. www.decarolisinsuranceagency.com.
Hello, and welcome back to LTV's Cityscope. As you viewers know, this is the show that focuses on the who, what, where, when, why, and how of things happening in and around Leominster, and events and people, places, things, basically anything that we want to talk about, we bring it to you on this show. Today's going to be an interesting show because in this day and age of fire safety and chimneys and stoves and things like that, we want to get the lowdown on what's cool, what's good to do, what's not good to do. And we have a special guest here to fill us in on all this. Today we have Leominster firefighter and local business owner, Bryan Leblanc. Bryan, welcome to Cityscope.
Carl, pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So, Bryan, where can we begin? Let's begin on some background about you and how you got into this whole thing.
Sure. I grew up in Ashburnham, Mass. I went to high school in Oakmont school system. I graduated from there. While I was in Ashburnham, I was on the volunteer fire department as a teenager, so 17 area for a couple of years, and that kind of sparked my interest for the fire service. Mm-hmm. That prompted me to college up in Southern Maine Tech, which is a fire science program. So I stayed up there for 2 semesters, and then I finally got the track for how you get on a bigger department. Okay. Was a veteran status. That kind of led me in the direction of the Coast Guard. Okay. So I spent a few semesters in college, and then enlisted in the Coast Guard.
Nice. Thank you for your service.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Yes, I enlisted in September 10th. Okay. Of 2011. Yeah. Wow. So just the circumstances of that. So I went through that whole sign-up process and boot camp, and Coast Guard was an amazing organization doing a lot of different type safety stuff. So I did 4 years total. Portsmouth, New Hampshire was my first station, and then New York City was my second station for anti-terrorism team down there. And I ended up taking the Leominster Fire Civil Service test, and scored pretty good in the first time. Yeah. Didn't get selected because of the list that was already in place. Second time I took it, I made it in with a stroke of luck. Nice. So there's a lot of people on the list, so it takes some time and logistics. Right. But finally get on, and I've been a Leominster firefighter for 15 years now.
Nice. Wow. Well, thank you again for more service.
Absolutely.
So how did you start into this business of your company's called On Duty Chimney Service and Stove, correct?
That is correct.
And you're based in Fitchburg?
Fitchburg, yep.
Okay. So how did that all start?
So during the time in Ashburnham, obviously a lot of wood burners in that area, and obviously all around this area. I ran into a lot of chimney fires. Some chimney fires weren't so serious, and others were a complete disaster, which devastated the entire home and uprooted families, and you obviously know how inconvenient and dangerous that can be. That kind of started the ball rolling for me. So what can these simple things be done to prevent these types of situations from happening, and who's out there doing it? I kind of progressed with that idea, and that rolled around. You know how ideas start, a little snowball, and they start to get bigger. Once I got on the fire department, I knew there was something you could do, a side job or something like that. So this sparked my interest into that and continued to grow. And I realized even more so with the Leominster Fire Department, seeing the same thing and it continuing. Chimney service, there's not a lot of companies around. There's a lot of good small companies. but there is definitely a room for opportunity.
Okay. So how many years has the company been around?
The company was established in 2010.
Okay.
So it's been over a decade, 12 years.
Nice, nice.
Yep.
So, so you're a full-service chimney company, correct?
That's correct.
You repair, service, do you new installations?
Yes.
The whole 9 yards?
Yes.
Very good. So, what's one of the major causes of chimney fires?
One of the major causes, and probably the most maybe underlooked thing, is wood preparation.
Okay.
I'd say 98% of 98% of your problems will come from wet wood. So wet wood is what really makes a creosote machine, whether it be it a fireplace, a wood stove. If it's not properly taken care of, covered, or dried or seasoned properly, it can wreak havoc on the system and everything that you have in place. You can have the best up-to-date, code-compliant, energy-efficient stove, but if your wood is bad, it's not going to work in the system, which creates very dangerous creosote, which that can ignite a chimney fire.
So that coats, and I know this because years and years ago, my brother had a chimney fire, creosote coated
Yes.
inside, and it destroyed his house. It was horrible.
Right.
So creosote builds up, but that's interesting to know. So people that think they're drying their wood, they may dry it for a season, or how long should you dry wood? That's the operative. It depends on the wood, I guess, too.
Right, Carl, that's a great question, and I get this all the time. General rule of thumb, it has to be, crazy down to the numbers, we can do all that. It needs to be down for a year and stacked. If it's down for a year, you're starting the drying process, and if it's stacked, the summer or the winds and the weather will go through that stack, and that's what dries out and cures the wood. Not cures it, but dries it out to the proper percentage of what you want in a wood, and not to get too technical, but you want under 20% for your wood, and that takes a year.
And I assume that stacking the wood properly is also... It may sound like I know what I'm talking about, but I really don't.
You're on the right page.
You have to stack the wood the right way in cords or whatever. You don't have to do it in cords, but it has to be stacked so air can infiltrate in between, correct?
That's exactly right. And another second part to that is having the top covered.
Okay.
So you want the wind and the weather to do all of the curing and drying of the wood, but if the rain comes in and it saturates the whole stack again, then you have to start the whole process again.
So it's got to be kind of covered with the rain deflecting, but still be able to get air.
Exactly right.
Wow.
So we always prompt a wood shed is the best opportunity.
Yeah.
You can do tarps. You know how the wind blows and those can rip and.
So these people, you go by their houses and they have this wood shed that's huge and with 9 million pieces of wood in there. They know what they're doing because they're seasoning this wood so that they can burn it properly.
That is exactly right. And you know that 90% of the problem is taken out. We can deal with the rest.
Right. That's unbelievable. So improper wood, and I'm assuming maintenance is... How often should chimneys be maintained or cleaned or whatever?
The National Fire Protection Association, or NFPA, requires or recommends that it should be done at least once a year for wood burning.
Okay. And of course, probably the best time to do that is in the off season when you're not using it. But people always wait and forget about it until the fall, and they call you and say, "Oh my God, I got to get my chimney cleaned." Is that what happens?
That is correct.
Okay. So I don't burn wood at my house. I have oil heat, and I have an insert propane stove in my chimney for different heating and whatever. And but when you have your furnace serviced, a lot of times they include servicing they don't service the whole, but is that something you do too, like a boiler flue or something like that? Can you service those also?
Yes. So, and a great point, aside from wood having all those issues, oil and gas furnaces develop a problematic situation
Okay.
also.
Okay.
So for your oil and your gas burners, the boiler tech or the gas tech for the burner itself,
Right.
your heating unit,
Yep.
the oil company or service company will handle the boiler and cleaning the boiler and the connection to the chimney.
Okay.
But usually that's as far as they'll go.
Okay.
That's where we come in. We take over and take care of the entire
rest.
chimney.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we have chimney cameras that we'll put up. We can sweep the interior of the flues. What we find now is which is kind of exacerbating the issues for the masonry flue tiles, which are the terracotta orange
Yes.
flue tiles that you find inside the chimney. These higher efficiency units that are going in are creating a lot more acidic environment
Okay.
because they're higher efficiency, so there's more water vapor
All right.
into the stack temperature,
Yep.
which is lowering the stack temperature. So that is creating an acidic environment for those flue tiles,
Right.
and those flue tiles are breaking down.
Okay.
That's when you get the orange cornflakes
Yep.
in your clean out,
Okay.
or you get chunks of flue tile falling
Right,
down,
right.
or if you're the homeowner, you can see the top of the chimney, you can see the masonry terracotta orange piece flaking
Right.
or breaking.
Okay. Yep. Yep.
That is a
That's what's
dangerous
causing that.
situation. What can happen there if it's not monitored, or at least aware of, it can fall and block the flue, and then we have carbon monoxide issues.
Wow. So there's a million ways to die if you don't maintain your chimney, folks. Remember that.
Yes.
You must maintain chimneys at all times.
Yes.
So a lot of people renovate old houses. Some of them like to demolish or relocate chimneys, okay? When you're doing that, is it best just to go with, a modern, metal type flue? Or if they have to relocate a chimney to somewhere else, should it be, the old-fashioned brick and mortar type, What's the ideas behind that?
So the industry has come a long way as far as renovation and code compliance. It used to be if you wanted a wood stove or a fireplace, you'd have to have a very strict regimen of what construction was around it, what was non-combustible, how far away it had to
Right.
be, this many inches, this high, this much thermal barrier. Nowadays, they have engineered the stoves where they pretty much protect themselves. So they built the protection within the stove. So the common, misconception is that, I have to do all of this and, put this type of material. You don't have to do that as much
Okay.
anymore.
Yep.
So as a new homeowner and moving into an older style house, you can put a newer wood stove, gas, pellet, or fireplaces we'll get into in a minute. So we'll
Right.
stick with the freestanding
Okay.
units. You can vent them out of the wall, and we can put a metal Class A chimney up, which you'll see, or you can have it chased in or framed and run venting through there.
Right.
So the clearances for the pipes have also
Yep.
been engineered tighter,
Okay.
so you can be much more free with your design choice and where you want to go as a new homeowner, thinking of different positions to
Right.
put something.
Now, is there a little bit less maintenance involved once you put in a new system with a nice stainless steel, whatever the flues are made out of? Is it less maintenance, or you still have to do some maintenance on it?
You still have to do some maintenance. Again, it's the due diligence of your wood habits. We go back to that, and
Right.
we already covered that.
Yep.
But what we would like to see if we were there to sweep for the yearly appointment was a nice light dusty crease or buildup,
Right.
rather than like the tarry,
Yes.
flammable
Okay.
stuff. If we're doing just the light dusty,
Then you can sweep it out. And
yep,
it's all
everything
done.
everything's good.
Right.
But that would be a yearly maintenance
Right.
just to keep up on
Right.
that.
And people, don't get cheap out there. Don't you get up on that roof and try to sweep it yourself. You're going to fall off and hurt yourself. Call a professional. And we have one here. So let's keep talking about how often should they be inspected, or should it just be a regular maintenance schedule every year or every other year? What do you think?
Typically for wood, every year.
Okay.
Obviously, for the environment that it creates. For oil and gas furnaces, it should be every year or maybe every other year, or if you begin experiencing some type of problems, i.e. With a oil burner or gas burner, it's shutting off.
Right.
Or you're getting a puff of smoke in the basement, or your carbon monoxide going on and off in the basement.
Right.
That's an issue. That can be an indication of a chimney problem.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about stove. Let's shift gears a little bit and talk about stoves. Let's talk about the different types you have. Which are more efficient? Wood burning, pellets, coal? What's the deal?
So there's all types of sources you can burn and coal. You just mentioned those, the wood, pellet, or gas. The biggest thing talking to a customer is kind of getting an idea of what they want, what they're looking for. Are you looking for ease of use? Are you looking for optimal BTUs or heating? Are you supplementing your heat? Your gas, are you looking for just nice and easy, push the remote on, off, and done? So that's kind of where we kind of will talk to the customer and educate them, like we're doing now, and get a feel for what they want. And then we kind of just tailor it to that situation. So if Mrs. Jones says she wants something that's easy, maintenance-free, other than the yearly, and just push the button and turn it on and set the temp, Mrs. Jones, a gas fireplace is right for you, and I think we'll travel down that path.
Right.
If you're a seasoned wood burner and you're getting tired or older and you want just a little less work, but you still like the wood smell, the burn, the heat, then a pellet stove may be the right choice for Mrs. Jones on that side.
Okay.
Pellet stoves pellets are a little more easier to maintain. They always have the right content, so you don't have to deal about the seasoning and all of that stuff. You do have to store them and dry location. And they're very easily vented. So you can go out of the sidewall, a corner, kitty corner, where you want it, in the main room, so they're very versatile that way.
Right.
Go ahead, sorry.
So in terms of like storage of materials like wood and pellets, do pellet stoves typically, you need more storage area for pellet stoves depending on your use, or is it pretty much the same?
It's pellets can be tough. If you want to get them inside, that's the best spot. They do wrap them pretty well with certain companies, the whole ton, because it's a pallet.
Right.
And if they're stored right or covered correctly outside, you may lose a bag or two to moisture, but they can be stored outside. So they're versatile in that area.
Okay. Now, your company, On Duty, you also do new installs, correct? You do repairs, you do the whole 9 yards, correct?
That's correct. Yep, we do wood, pellet, and gas. And we have a Napoleon products are what we carry.
Okay.
So Napoleon has a whole line of gas, electric, wood, and pellet stoves, and we cover all of that.
So that covers the gas inserts, if you want a nice flame in your house, the whole 9 yards. How about chimneys or fire pits? Do you go in that area at all? Or?
We don't do the fire pits. The Napoleon does have outdoor stuff, but we can get that.
Yep.
But yeah, typically we stick to the chimney side of it.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit more about venting. Do you clean things like dry vents, things like that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we do dryer vents. Dryer vents come along the same kind of area for us.
Yep.
It's the lint buildup. It's the yearly maintenance. A lot of people are like, oh, my dryer doesn't work that great. It's not drying my clothes, or I have to run it longer cycle to get the clothes drier, or it's making a loud, weird noise, or something's malfunctioning. That can be an indication, just like creosote and buildup and all that, can be an indication of the vent is being clogged up. Lint.
Lint is a killer.
Yes, so those traps are key to clean out.
Yes.
But you also remember that dryer vent needs to be cleaned also.
So people, you do the wash, you dry your clothes, clean that vent every single time. Take it out, take the lint out. That'll help quite a bit, correct?
Yes, and the exhaust vent should be, again, once a year.
That should be cleaned out too.
And there can be some funky setups for that.
Yeah, I know, depending on where your vent is and how it goes into you and snakes into your house.
Yes.
The one thing that used to bug the heck out of me is you'd go into Home Depot or something and buy a dry vent kit, and they give you a flexible hose and a vent to stick outside. Flexible hoses are the hardest things in the world to clean lint out of, because it just sticks there. Is it better to put a full, solid flue type thing in for dry vents, or?
Absolutely.
It is.
Okay. And to your point, what we use is all of our brushes are rotary.
Yes.
So they run on a drill system.
Okay.
So there's different brushes for different setups, and we do this for all of our cleaning.
Yeah.
But like you're alluding to, that aluminum wire light gauge flex is a nightmare. you have to be super gentle and super easy going through it.
Right.
What we'd always recommend, to your point, is a hard
Yes.
setup. So we do that also. We can
Okay.
change out the pipe to hard.
Yep. Now,
That's a lot
let's
easier.
shift gears a little bit to new technology, because you guys also install flex pipe, but it's a different type of flex pipe, correct? Explain a little bit about that you line chimneys with, you know?
Yes.
Okay.
So in that scenario we're talking about, to go back to the flue tiles breaking down,
Right.
we do thousands of liners
Okay.
a year. I'm sorry, hundreds of a year,
Yep.
but we've done thousands.
Yep.
And what this system does is replace the masonry flue tiles that are breaking down, and we install call it a hybrid smooth liner. So if you think of, the best way I can describe this is, there's other liners out there that are light gauge, and if you stepped on them, they would crush. What we use is a heavy gauge liner, and the best way I can describe it is like armadillo skin.
Yes, okay.
If you can bend it, it moves, but you can't crush it. So it's very innovative for the venting industry,
Right.
and it's smooth on the inside.
Smooth on you, that's what I was just gonna say.
Yes.
It's not like those old dry vents, no.
You're
These are
right.
smooth inside.
Yes, smooth on the inside, which increases your draft 20% and much
Right.
more efficient.
Right.
So that, when we get into draft, is very important for saving the customer money,
Mm-hmm.
saving the homeowner money, and making your unit run more efficiently. So if
Okay.
you think of a straw and you're drinking through a straw,
Right.
and there's a hole in it,
Right.
you automatically notice something's wrong, or
Right.
it's not as efficient.
Right.
Your chimney is the exact same
Same
thing.
thing.
So the efficiency is not being completely utilized if there's a hole or something wrong with the venting, because that pulls all the fresh air in to the unit, and that has to do with the front of the unit into it and then all the way up. So if that's not running efficient, you start burning out oil nozzles, your burners start to go, your computer boards
Right.
go crazy.
Right.
Those are expensive fixes.
Yeah, I guess.
So if you're doing that right in the due diligence and the venting is correct, you won't have that problem. And that's where these liners come into place.
Plus, your unit runs more efficient, and with oil going up, over $5, $6 a gallon for oil, it's imperative that you keep the maintained, correct?
100%.
So you're going to be a busy guy, I guess.
Yes, we are. We very much so.
So how many employees you have? How big of a staff you got?
I have 4 technicians.
Okay.
Greg, Paul, Jacob, and Devin.
Yep.
They run the vans, and then I oversee them in the field. I have Stacy as our main office manager.
Yep.
Brittany and Lisa. Lisa is our finance
Okay.
officer. She does all the
Is
finance.
that them there?
That is them there minus Lisa.
Okay.
Yep. So yeah, all of the crew there, and Paul.
Okay. Very good.
Yep.
So how can people reach you? What's your web address? The whole nine yards.
ondutychimneysweep.com.
Okay. ondutychimneysweep.com, or they can call you at.
978-696-7933.
Okay. So I want to thank you, because it's been very enlightening and just reassuring that we have to make sure we maintain. This is so important, because you, as a firefighter, you're seeing an increase in fires all the time. It's insane.
Absolutely.
It's just crazy. So it's so important to be safe, right?
Absolutely.
So that's why maintenance is very important. Well, Bryan, thank you again for coming in and filling us in on what to do and what not to do and maintenance. And thank you.
It was a pleasure, Carl. Thank you for having me.
Okay. It's been fun to bring you this safety information, and heed the information. And we're going to come back with another show at some point and give you some more information about other topics. We don't know what they are yet, but we'll let you know. But thanks for watching. Have a good day.
LTV's Cityscope is brought to you through the generous support of the DeCarolis Insurance Agency. www.decarolisinsuranceagency.com